I've read around 50 books in 2025, and these are my top 10 worst, bottom 10 books, bottom 10 reads of 2025. Now, this year I did only read books that I was genuinely interested in reading because I thought that I would love them. I didn't throw in any like ACOTAR type series that I know I'm going to read and have a whole bunch of issues with. For the most part, they're books that I was really disappointed in to some degree. Maybe I had a lot of positive things to think about it, but I also had too many negative things as well. And those are the things we're going to talk about today. I'm going to generally go in order of best to worst. So these first couple of books really were just ones that I really liked certain aspects of, and maybe if I had read them at another time, then it would have like hit better, or I would have really connected with it more. But I was just kind of like underwhelmed. They were kind of more forgettable. I was sometimes frustrated with the things that the story was choosing to focus on. Number 10 on my list is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. This is kind of a sci-fi lit fic story about a future where there is government control over people's memories, and the things that they are allowed to be cognizant of versus not allowed to be cognizant of. I had really high hopes for this. I feel like I saw really high ratings from other readers that have similar taste to mine, but ironically enough, it just wasn't super memorable for me. There's two stories going on throughout the book, and the kind of like side story or B plot I think was kind of more interesting or more emotionally impactful than the primary story. I didn't feel like the two stories were tying in together in the way that I was hoping. I wanted just maybe like a little bit more, like at least hinting at how and why the whole thing was happening, why people's memories were being stolen. There are people who are immune to it and most people aren't, and the people who are immune, there's not really anything explained as to how that happens. I don't know, I just wanted like a little bit more something to ground it. The fact that there were two different stories and one of them was just a story inside of story, and the real events that were taking place to our main characters just seemed kind of disconnected from reality, which I guess is sort of the point, but I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just dumb. Ended up rating this book 3 stars. I think that there are a lot of other people who will get a lot more out of this than I did. Number 9 on my list is Luster by Raven Leilani. This was kind of a realistic fiction lit fic following a young black woman in her 20s as she navigates a relationship with her white affair partner, his wife, and their adopted black daughter. Similar issue to the last book, the like actual events of the story have faded so much in my mind since I read it. I barely remember any of it. I think it was just a little too maybe slice of life. It was slice of life in the sense that the plot was literally just like this period of our main character's life to this period of her life, but it was not slice of life in tone. The best parts of the story for me were when our main character was having interactions with her affair partner's wife and their daughter, and I really wish that that had been more focused on and that there was like kind of the emotional pull I'm looking for. As I re-say the premise, I'm like, yeah, I really did enjoy parts of this, but I don't remember what they were. I had ended up rating this book 3 stars. I would definitely recommend this to other people. I was just a little disappointed with how the story actually played out emotionally. Number 8 on my list is The Dream Hotel by Lalami. This book was so disappointing for me. I saw the cover and I saw the title and I was like, oh my god, dreams, hotels, sign me up. And it wasn't really about dreams or hotels. Maybe I should have known better. This is kind of a dystopian sci-fi lit fic story about a world in which algorithms can predict crime. So our main character has been put in a holding facility for being at risk of killing her husband. She has no idea what could have like triggered the algorithms to think that she was going to do that, because she just is not really feeling that way. And she has to kind of navigate this really difficult system that is like abusing these people that are not actually doing crimes, but were just like foretold to be going to do a crime. And this book just tries to do a lot of things, and it just doesn't like finish any of them. There's some really interesting concepts, and I was so excited when I heard this premise. There's supposed to be like this mystery as to why she would kill her husband, and she's having all these weird dreams, and she's being treated really badly in this like prison facility or whatever. The way that they played out were just so part of it was a little bit boring. Like I said, like brought up a lot of different types of topics, but just didn't follow through on any of them. I would have rather one thing be kind of picked, or three things get picked and completely followed through on. In like 50% or something, 40% into the book, there's just an interlude from another character telling us about this like horrible business scam that's like happening to the prisoners. Really like intrusive and crazy and bad. Like I don't even think the main character finds out. Oh well, maybe she does find out at the end. Then why did we tell the audience, and then why did we have that happening in the background at all if it wasn't going to be more relevant to the story, to the actual plot? On the other hand, there were some things that were so hammered in. I guess there were things that were like supposed to be like mysterious that like I clearly understood were happening, and then the main character would like find out it was happening and be shocked, and I was like, what? I ended up rating this book 3 stars. It was okay. There was lots of stuff that I liked in the beat by beat. I feel like the characters were like pretty well fleshed out. It just wasn't what I was looking for at all. Number 7 on my list is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This was my first Brandon Sanderson book, and I know it was his first published book, so this is a fantasy, maybe young adult fantasy. I would say it's young adult. This follows a world where some people have powers that they can access through like ingesting metals, and our main character has all the powers. She's like a sad orphan girl of the like slave people of this society who has kind of like lived on the black market or whatever, just as a thief. Other people find out she has these powers and things start getting crazy. She's kind of like recruited by this hodgepodge group of criminals. Yeah, there was just some weird things that kind of like left a bad taste in my mouth. Awkward scenes, some unfortunate wording that I feel like had weird racial implications. It's just a little tone deaf. There was like lots of talk about philosophy that I felt was obtuse, I guess. A bit naive and immature coming from like pretty older adult characters who have been through a lot in their lives, and treating like race relations as like a fun philosophical topic to debate. I don't know. And then like on top of that, only having like our main character is a female character, but there were essentially no other female characters except for like one evil woman. The point is that the rest of Mistborn was too mid to make up for the nonsense that I had to deal with reading it. I had ended up rating it at 3 stars. I liked the actual reading of it, the pacing and the writing and stuff. but I'm not going to be continuing the series. Number 6 on my list is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kliewer. It was like a psychological horror thriller mystery-ish type story. It follows the story of this strange house that strange happenings seem to be happening around. I was kind of promised a haunted house type story. I don't feel like it delivered for me in that way. I wasn't very scared of the antagonist, the character that was doing the haunting. I don't know, he just wasn't giving me the kind of energy I was hoping for from that kind of villain. There was going to be more of a twist to this, but then the twist just ended up to be the main idea that I kind of had thought was going on the whole time because of how the story was kind of written and framing things. I was a little bit disappointed that there wasn't more to it, or there wasn't more explained. I would love to have had more of any motivation given for the haunting, or the person, the sort of villain character. I feel like just had no indication of what their motive was, what they were aiming for, what the goal was. Also kind of just found the narrator a little bit insufferable. She's got mega anxiety, which I get it, man, but you can't you can't be doing this. the way that she acts in social interactions is crazy. I think I was just hoping for this story to be scarier for me, but it kind of just followed through the trajectory that I was assuming it was going to follow, based on how people were reacting to it and based on what the story was feeding me. I ended up rating this book 3 stars. It was kind of a good time while I was reading it, but mid. Oh, there was also kind of this puzzle element. I feel like there was kind of clues sprinkled through, or Morse code and stuff like that, and that can be cool. I'm not really into having to do a puzzle while I'm trying to read a book. Number 5 on my list is Mary by Nat Cassidy. This book is all over the place. This book follows our main character as she's moving back into her evil aunt's house to help her in her old age. So she's moving back to the town that she grew up in, and it starts causing all these weird things. She's hallucinating, she's hearing things, she's, I don't know, having blackouts, all kinds of stuff. And she thinks that it's somehow connected to this serial killer that used to live here. This book has everything. I can't handle it. It's got ghosts, it's got possession, it's got reincarnation, it's got crazy cults, it's got horrible misogyny, hate crimes against women. It's got weird demon ladies and unpredictable serial killers, and there was just a lot going on. We really needed to trim down some of the fat. I think a good edit would have done this wonders. I ended up rating this book 2 stars. It tried to do a lot. It just did meh at pretty much all of it. Number 4 on my list was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is a classic gothic romance. A few characters as they sabotage each other in the name of love. I just didn't really like anything about this. I'm sorry. First of all, I'm not usually a fan of the this person's telling this person's a story who's writing it in a letter and sending it to their cousin type of story framing. That's kind of popular with older styles, and especially with gothic fiction, Frankenstein's like this. I like to be closer to the character unless there's more of a reason to it. Usually these very third narrators aren't really that connected to things thematically or plot wise. Just start with that. And then there's the actual characters. You're supposed to hate them. Okay, whatever. I do hate them. I don't care. I don't care to hear what Heathcliff is doing. I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear it. I wasn't really like impressed with his shenanigans. It would have been more fun if what he was doing was more evil and less of a traditional oppressing way. Essentially just like utilizing his power as a man like repeatedly over women, and then it's like, you know, it's like a cycle because the other characters were repeatedly using their power as like white people to overpower him as a person of color. And yeah, okay, I get it, I get the themes. I just don't think it's fun to watch. The characters are unlikable, the story framing is unlikable, the way that the characters are interacting with each other is unlikable, are rather bleak. There's like, and I would have liked Wuthering Heights to kind of be more active as a character. Wuthering Heights is like the house or whatever where half of the story takes place. There's also another house or whatever with another silly name, but like gothic fiction, like the setting is always kind of its own character. And Wuthering Heights, it was also an unenjoyable bleak character, and it's sort of supposed to be like that, but then what is there to enjoy? Which part? Everything's supposed to be unenjoyable. Which part am I supposed to like? Just the misery of it all, I guess. I ended up rating Wuthering Heights 2 stars. Just was not enjoyable for me, okay? It is very fun in a telenovela way, and that's all it has going for it. The drama is crazy. Number 3 on my list was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. When I started reading this book, I thought it was going to be a 5-star. This was a fantasy genre fiction, like follows the story of like a college-age guy kind of falling into this fantasy world that he had like always wanted to be in since he was a kid. Characters were cute and endearing. I don't think this is going to age well. It was like really like 2016 in the way that the kind of the writing and the tone and the characters. I don't know, the plot was like meandering for me, just kind of like slowly went all over the place, and there was like an annoying amount of motifs. It was just constant. We're talking about keys and ribbons and books and cats and bees and hives and paper and swords and dice, and I don't know, it was just like constantly trying to get me to like kind of believe in or like love this world through its imagery and like motifs, and it was just so overwhelming and annoying. I had ended up rating this book 3 stars. I don't know if I would go back and change it to a 2-star because I really did enjoy the beginning. I just thought it was gonna like develop in a way that I was more about. I felt like the fantasy world seemed really empty compared to the ones that it was kind of comparing itself to, like Narnia and stuff. It was like this big, vast, empty void, and all the characters seemed to be the only people who existed in the world, and that's, I don't know, it just felt really like closed off. Like there wasn't much more to it aside from aesthetic. Number 2 on my list was The Sea of Tranquility by Emily Sean Mandel. This was like a lit fic sci-fi that follows the timeline of this anomaly that happens in a forest in like the 1800s and also like 2400, and so it shows us the story and like all these connected characters, and I just found it not very fun. Boring, grueling, I don't know. It was like really self-referential. There was a character that I feel like was representative of Emily St. John Mandel, but her plot seems to be like kind of the most important part of the story, but also has nothing to do with the rest of the story, and focuses so much on like her as a writer and like the downfalls of her lifestyle. as a writer, as a famous writer, going on tour, lots of like complaining about that, like her dealing with like a lot of misogyny as a female writer. But the weird part was like her story takes place, it looks like, in like 2200, and so I don't know, it felt like the misogyny was just like she was just like copy pasting things from her journals that like people maybe had said to her on tour, but like it didn't make any sense in context, because the way that people would be talking about these topics would change a lot by the year 2200. In my opinion, I don't think people are going to be saying, "Why aren't you at home with the kids?" in the exact same way in like 100 years. It just felt kind of lazy in the world building and the way, like, if our story is going to take place like center all around time travel, I would want more attention paid to like the distinctive time periods and developing those as a setting. It's 2 stars. Some of the line writing was beautiful, poetic, but that's kind of the best thing I can say about it. Number 1 on my list of my worst books of 2025 is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Out of all these books, this is the one I dislike. The other ones, I feel like they had things that were going for it, or I could like recommend them to the right person. I don't like anything about this. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I think that part of it is just that I feel betrayed, because I was really enjoying the book when I was reading it until I got to the twist. This is a mystery thriller about a character who is like a group therapist or psychologist, ends up going to her niece's college campus to try to help investigate some serial killings that have been going on. Was just so bad. It didn't slot into things properly. Like, it didn't improve it didn't make things more clear. It didn't fill in all the gaps and the plot holes. It like improved the themes of the story. It didn't make everything all come together emotionally. I felt like it was so silly, and like he wrote the whole book without knowing what the twist was going to be or who the killer was going to be or whatever, and then gets to the end and is like, I'll get him. Yeah, you got me, okay. Stupid twist that doesn't make. Once everything came into clarity, it retroactively made it very clear that the characters were written in ways to convenience the plot. A twist for shock value is never going to be my favorite, and it just did not land for me at all. I had rated this book 2 stars. Maybe it's a 1 star for me, but 2 stars because I had like really been enjoying the book up until the twist. I was like moving along, the pacing was crazy. I wanted to know what was going to happen next. I wanted to solve the mystery. I was really giving the benefit of the doubt in every way. And I was just so disappointed. That was, to me, the worst book of 2025. I would love for you to argue with me about how I'm wrong in the comments. Talk to you later. Goodbye.